Hi, my name is Andre Wadsworth, former Arizona Cardinal and also executive pastor of Impact Church here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm also a board member of Urban Youth Excel, and I want to talk to you about Urban Youth Excel and what it means to me and what it does to help our kids here in our community. You know, being a past professional football player, I had a chance to always use my platform to be an example and to give back. Being involved with Urban Youth Excel is an opportunity not only to give back to young kids, but to watch them grow and develop. These kids are in the inner cities. They don't have the opportunities that a lot of the kids where I grew up, I had an opportunity to have a great mom, a great dad, and so I was afforded a lot of things that these kids were not afforded to. Urban Youth Excel, every year, not only that we teach kids character, discipline, but also they have chances to go to camps and do a lot of fun things that they wouldn't normally have the opportunity to do. And the best thing about Urban Youth Excel, it's faith-based. It teaches kids about Christ, developing a relationship and walking with him and to really lean on him. Urban Youth Excel is in 4 high schools currently, and we want to get into more high schools here in Arizona. But to do so, we need finances. Urban Youth Excel, we have an event that we have every year that we have a chance to donate and give back. I enjoy not only donating my time, but donating my finances. And so I want to encourage you to get involved with Urban Youth Excel, not only just to help the kids from a standpoint of being a mentor, but also help the kids financially. You guys have the opportunity to really give back and make a big difference in these kids' lives. With your finances, now we're able to get into more schools, but we're able to hire more staff that really can impact these kids' lives. It's proven fact that with kids with direction and mentors and role models, these at-risk kids can make better choices in their life and help be very productive and really further themselves to become better young men and young women. Urban Youth Excel has been an outstanding program that I've been happy to be a part of and to donate not only my time, but also donate my finances. Please join and be a part of Urban Youth Excel. Every opportunity that you have to give back, please do. Thank you.
We're here today with Urban Youth Excel, and we're going to talk about our event that's coming on May 4th. It's our 3rd annual, and we have Scott McIntyre, American Idol finalist, with us here today. And he is our music that plays with us for the last 3 years at our event, and he's amazing. And we also have 2 other employees here that are going to talk to us about what is happening with the youth in today's schools. So I would like to introduce Scott and get started with that. Scott?
How are you doing? It's great to be here with you. I'm so excited about this year's event for Urban Youth Excel. It's really been fun since my time on American Idol. Phyllis, that I've traveled a lot of places around the world and visited a lot of people, and one of the types of people I love serving the most is the youth, and students, and the next generation. I think is so important to reach, and so that's why I'm really honestly excited about this event. I know you are too.
Oh, we are so excited, and you have an amazing testimony and career ahead of you and behind you, and especially with your wife and 2 kids all being involved with what you do. So we'd like to hear a little bit about that.
Well, I do. I have 2 kids, and it's you guys might know it's an amazing story just because I've been through 2 kidney transplants. We weren't able to have kids during a lot of that journey, and so it's very special that gift is already giving more life than just to me, but extending out to our kids, extending out to the world, but also now extending out to the next generation. Every school I go into to talk to young people, I'm just thinking back to the people that believed in me. Someone had to believe in me before I believed in myself, and I think that's really what you guys are doing with Urban Youth Excel, is really coming alongside these young people and being able to give them a safe place where they can connect with someone, they can come to someone, they can share their hurts, their fears, their dreams, but have someone that understands and that wants to walk beside them.
Well, we totally appreciate you and everything that you have to say about Urban Youth Excel. We have our collaborators with us here today. We have DeWeet and Anthony, and they work with the kids. They are the ones that are on the ground day by day in the schools, in the churches. Where are our youth? Where is our youth today? It is so sad to hear what is going on. And they are in the trenches with those kids every single day, and they hear their story. And they take them to camps, they take them to Bible studies, and these kids need this. They need those Bible studies. They need to have somebody wrap their arms around them and tell them how much they're loved and cared for. And a lot of them do not get that today. But we have DeWeet and Anthony here, and they're going to sort of tell you what's going on with the kiddos.
Yes, thank you, Phyllis. My name is Dawi Kabata. I'm the supervisor here at Urban Youth Excel, and I'm a community collaborator along with Anthony. And the needs at the schools are great. They're really pressing at the moment. I think one of the things you said earlier, Phyllis, that was great, is the need for students to have people wrap their arms around them. One of the things that we're noticing with a lot of the students is they lack healthy friend groups. They also have issues that are occurring at home. And so a big issue that we're noticing is isolation, being by yourself, and actually stepping away from the kind of things that would actually help you succeed in schools.
Right.
So one of the things that we try to do when we get onto these campuses and when we talk with students after school, we want to make sure we build friendships and try to help them to see where God has already been present in their life. One of the motives of Urban Youth Excel, and one of the things that we share with other people that we partner with, is our conviction that we aren't introducing Jesus to places that he's not already present. Our goal instead is to make sure that other people, as well as ourselves, can communicate to these students where God has already had his hand on their lives. In many cases, they can't see it, right? It's very difficult when you're going through some of the things that they're going through to be able to notice, hey, this was God's mercy towards me in my life in this area. Bringing a guy like Anthony around me to encourage me, to help me to make better decisions. This is God's hands on my life. And within a few moments, within a few discussions, we're able to help them to see that God has actually already been present and help in any way that we can to meet some of those needs, which are spiritual, right? Getting them into faithful communities, people who love them. And there's also many material needs that they have, better education, making some other ends meet at home. And so we try to provide holistic ministry that puts Jesus at the front.
Oh, that's awesome. And that is so true. And Anthony, tell us what you think about all these kiddos and how you're involved.
And it's an amazing opportunity and privilege for us to be able to come alongside these kids, because we've lived a good amount of our lives in relation to what they lived. You know, you got 16-year-olds, you got 17-year-olds, you got 18-year-olds that are transitioning into another part of their life, into adulthood. And to be able to have someone to sit down with them or to walk with them, to go through some of the most basic things and the basic needs, and to be able to provide that and be able to give them the strength to empower them. It's not just we're going to do for you, we're going to walk through this with you, so that then when you are walking and let's just say we're not there, you can still stand alone on your own and you can then provide to other people. So to be able to just pour into one another and to be able to pour into this youth and then to see them pour in the way that we poured into them, it's a beautiful thing. I am so, just like I said before, I'm privileged. It's a privilege to be working with Dawi and to be working for an organization as Urban Youth Excel, because to be able to provide to our communities and to be able to provide to the youth, but not only to the youth, but to their families. Because guess what? If they're getting poured into, but their families aren't, then they're going to be lacking still, because now they're having to pour into their families. But if we can pour into them all, it allows them to grow together and to be a strong and powerful force in their communities.
Yeah, and that's so important. I do remember one time we went to an event, and this gal and her husband, she was in our program. And the mother came to me and said, you know, I have to tell you, this has been amazing. Our daughter would come home and she would not socialize. She would go straight to her room. I know she was out drinking and partying and doing all this stuff. And she said she got involved with UYE, and you guys came alongside her, and it changed her whole life. She started coming home. She was talking to us. She was having dinner with us. You know, we had issues. My husband was an alcoholic, and we all had problems in the house, but we all saw how she changed, how her life was changed. And we all started changing also, to where now we're a family. My husband doesn't drink like he used to drink. I am more present around the house like I should be. And it was just brings tears to your eyes to see how these kids who are so sad and out there with nobody to love on them. And now they have you and Urban Youth Excel to come alongside of them. And it's just amazing. I mean, it's amazing how we've changed so many kids' lives. So anyway, then back to our event. So our event is on Saturday, May 4th, and it's going to be at Gainey Ranch. And we are going to have a helicopter golf ball drop. And so we're selling tickets.
Wow.
And yeah, won't that be fun?
How does that work exactly?
Well, we sell golf balls.
That sounds dangerous.
I know, right? we don't want to be close. We'll be back over here. So hopefully we're going to sell a couple thousand golf balls. And then the helicopter will come to Gainey and drop the balls closest to the hole. We have first, second, and third place. So they'll we got some tickets to the D-backs, the Suns, and the Cardinals. So that'll be a fun part. It'll be fun for the kids. So we have that. And then we're going to have a lot of artists are going to come. Brushstrokes and Blessings. We just got involved with the art community who just wrapped their arms around what we are doing. And so they're all going to come. They're going to have their tables set up and their paintbrushes out. And they're going to be painting and sculpting and doing all kinds of fun things. So the kids will have fun. I'm going to have crayons on the table. They're just going to be doing face painting and pictures and caricature drawings. And so it's going to be real fun. And we're going to have Scott, who we absolutely love to pieces. Him and Christina, his wife, who's absolutely amazing. They will be there, and we'll just have a lot of food, a lot of fun, and a lot of music.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing about this as well, even with the last year's event, where a lot of the kids, they're experiencing things that they've never experienced before.
Right.
They're stepping into places that they've never been. They're like, oh, do I got to talk in front of a bunch of people? And then all of a sudden they start talking, and then now they're all over the place talking to everybody, so it's building confidence even within that time. So it's an amazing event.
I love that. How you guys involve people from the program that get to come and share their stories too. Right. Yes. And I remember hearing just such powerful stories in the years past. And I also love that you've thought of the whole family, Phyllis. We're trying to raise money for Urban Youth Excel and support this cause. We're doing it in a fun way. And not only that, it's a fun way for the whole family, which is actually rare. So thank you for doing that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be fun. Yeah. We try and do a little bit for everybody, a little food, a little painting, a little fun, a little ball drop. And Gainey is a beautiful place. So it'll be a fun afternoon for all. And yes, we always do have, I don't know how many kids we had last time, about 5 or 6 that came.
Yeah, so usually with the events, we want to make sure that everybody who attends are aware of what we do and who exactly it is that will be impacted by the work that we do. So at every event, we usually will try to bring between 5 to 7 students that we've served on some of these campuses that we know, and we'll have them come, we'll have them participate, we'll have them meet some of the folks who've been there, and then we'll also interview some of them, have them share, and we want it to be clear that everybody there would know this is the work that we're doing. So we usually bring about 5 to 7 students, and we have a few of them share about the ways that UYE has been able to encourage them, equip them, and help them to see Jesus' love in their life.
Yeah. And when you have Jesus in your life, it changes your whole life. It's just So tell us a little bit about camp, because you guys take a group of kids up to camp. And this camp is where these kids get a chance to bring Jesus into their life. So tell us a little bit about camp.
Yeah, thank you for that, Phyllis. So just to take a few steps back to kind of lead into camp, one of the mission statements that we go by here is that we're partnering with Jesus to meet inner city students where they are. I think the important part of that statement is that we make clear, as we said a few moments ago, that we're not bringing Jesus into situations that he's not already present, right? So that's why we say partnering. We're co-workers, co-laborers with God, as it says in 1 Corinthians. But secondly, we want to meet students where they are. So often our students aren't going to take a step in a church.
Right.
They're not going to take a step in the places that we may frequent to introduce them to Jesus. So part of our conviction is that we want to be like Jesus and meet the people in the fields.
Right.
So we want to go out, partner with folks that we know on campuses, meet students, build relationships, develop that momentum, and take them off campus into various things that we do. So camp is certainly a highlight. We also host multiple Bible studies on various campuses and around various campuses, multiple other ministry events. We do ministry day trips where we take students outside the city for maybe a Saturday or a Sunday, and we eat with them. We'll go to Sedona. We may go elsewhere to get them in the Word, just to experience other things. And then I think, to what you said a few moments ago, the highlight of this experience is certainly camp. So over the last 5 years, UYE has had the privilege of taking over 1,000 students to a camp during the winter and in the summer. And we take them up to a city a few hours out. And this is the goal of the camp. It's real simple. It's to get a lot of the students away from the kind of distractions they face while they're in the city.
Right.
Not necessarily all bad distractions, everything from your phone to chores at home to helping your little brother, little sister, some good, some bad. But the issue is that with all these things around you, it's very hard to hear Jesus speaking to you, especially to hear him clearly, right? It's difficult for us, let alone for high school students.
Yeah.
So we like to take every winter and every summer, anywhere from 80 to 150 students. We take them with a few other leaders that we work with, and we take them to a camp. At the camp, we play a bunch of games. We're outdoors. There's basketball. There's a football field. We're running around. So a lot of physical activity.
Right.
Another huge part of this camp that makes it such a highlight is students aren't allowed to have their phones.
Oh, good
Now you
news.
can imagine, you can imagine, right? It's a fight, and usually when we collect phones, our students, which I gotta credit them for their creativity, but they'll turn in like a phone from 2005, and I'm like, you weren't born until 2005. How are you giving me a phone from 2005, right?
Yeah.
So like, this is obviously not your real phone, so can you please give me a real phone? And then they'll pull it out of their back pocket and actually turn it off. But I think one of the things that's always encouraging to me about our youth is that when we take away those phones, after a couple of hours, when they realize I only have these people next to me and either I'm going to be silent or talk, you begin to see students open up, not just to God, but also to one another.
Yeah.
And it's usually in those kind of spaces that when you share the word, when you share the gospel, when you tell students about Jesus, you're able to take them away. They're not distracted. We've seen over 1,000, over 1,500 students in the course of UYE make a confession to put their faith in Jesus, right? And a lot of those moments the majority of them do occur at a camp. We're able to take students away, get them away from their phones and from distractions, share Jesus with them, and it's just a sweet time. Anthony, do you have anything you want to share about camp?
Yeah, like the beautiful thing about it is especially with me in this experience, I got to experience Young Life Camp for the first time last year over the summer. So as I'm going through camp, they're going through camp with me, and we're experiencing it together. We're having surprises and making the same faces. So it was beautiful to be able to see the transition from a kid that's going and like, I don't even know if I want to go, but my friend is going, so I might go. And then to, when are we coming back? Do we have to go back right now? Can we stay a little bit longer? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, but then you got to remember I'm a little older. So I'm like, well, how about we wait to the next winter camp or something? But to be able to see kids experience Jesus in an environment that other people are experiencing Jesus along with them, and to be able to then come together doing like cabin times and talk about what they're experiencing. Not just with some adult telling them, but another kid that's going through the same experience with them. And to be able to get those point of views, that's priceless. That's priceless to be able to do that. Jesus is the number one priority when they go to these to camps and to even the gatherings and groups and the D groups. That Jesus is in the forefront, and they don't have to even be nervous or scared about it. They can be joyful about it. And to be able to bring joy to somebody through Christ, what can you do? What can you say about that? All you can do is say, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I love this.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about it.
So tell me real quick, after they go to camp and you bring these little darlings back.
Yep.
And then what do you do? How do you stay with these kids? Now I've given my life to Christ. Okay, now what do I do? You know, they're like, okay, it's a good step in the right direction. I sort of see where I'm going. But now you can't throw them to the wind. You have to say, okay, now what do you do?
Right. One of the things that has become apparent to me, especially post COVID and a lot of the lockdowns that occurred, depression and anxiety, even amongst students, are listed as the most significant problem they face. When you poll students, they say that 70 to 80% say that's the biggest issue that we face.
Okay.
And so one of the sweet points about camp is that when you get into a place like camp, you provide the kind of intimacy that challenges some of the anxiety and the depression and the isolation that comes along with it. So to your point, we leave camp, right? Now the students get their phones back. Now the students have to do chores again.
Yeah.
Now the students have to take care of their little brothers and little sisters.
Right.
All these distractions start settling in. One of our goals as Urban Youth Excel is to make sure that we capitalize on the Holy Spirit momentum that develops at places like camp.
Right.
So to give you an example, this August, after we had summer camp in 2023, we immediately had 3 different Bible studies that occurred in the month of August that were called Next Steps. What do we do after? And there were 3 things we emphasized in all 3 of these meetings. The first thing to do in Next Steps, we said, is you have to be a part of a community. You cannot live human life isolated, right? With all the issues, let alone know Jesus and be isolated. You need a community of people that are your peers as well as those that are older than you. And so that's the first thing we emphasize, which is a community. And one of our hopes is that we want to incorporate students into the life of a healthy church. I think if there's one thing I notice about youth ministry and other ministries I've been a part of, is a connection to a local church where students can flourish often doesn't occur as likely as what we would hope. So first one is community. The second one is the word. We want to make sure that one of the things you're going to have to learn as you walk with Jesus is you got to be able to feed yourself, right? And it takes time, right?
Yeah.
We're going to obviously have to help you to process these things, but we always want to give our students Bibles. That's one of the goals of Urban Youth Excel is we want students to have the Bible for themselves. Not that they would go read it off in a corner by themselves, but that they would have a relationship with God for their own. Then the third thing that we emphasize is prayer. We want to make sure that students develop a prayer life. They know how to talk to God for themselves. So we had 3 sessions immediately after camp to say, hey, here are the tools. And this would be the last point I'd share about that before Anthony goes is post-camp, we made sure to say to students, don't come to Next Steps if you don't want to. We don't want to force you. Maybe you went to camp, had a great time, and you said, you know what, I just want to chill. This isn't my thing.
Right.
95% of the students who came to camp said, I need next steps because I've made a decision and this matters to me, but I don't know at all what I'm doing. And so that's why the next steps are so crucial.
Right.
And at UYE, we're always wanting to capitalize on the momentum we build on campuses, on the momentum we build at camps, on the momentum we build in D groups, that we want to make people who actually live out what it means to follow Jesus.
Yeah, and that's so important. Oh my gosh, that's that's the other half of UYE is staying connected with the kiddos. And I think, Scott, you deal a lot of this with what you do in your ministry because you have a music ministry.
Yeah, it's just so important, I think you guys are discovering what we all know, that these young people need community, right? And they need to be seen, they need to be heard. And you're doing that. It's frustrating when the phone's taken away at first and they give that in, but then they realize this is real life. I can actually breathe. I can actually think. I can actually think beyond the momentary distractions, right? And to be able to connect with them in that space and then follow up with them after. And I love that you shared that statistic about the 95% you said, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Say that they want to take those next steps.
Yes.
And that's amazing because I think so many ministries around the world over the years, God uses a lot of different people sowing seed, reaping the harvest, discipling along the way. But to be able to touch at the beginning of someone's Christian walk, to be able to touch both of those, the evangelism and the discipleship, helping them take those first steps, giving them the tools. I love that you shared those 3 tools, that you give them the community, and the word and prayer. Yeah. Because you're teaching them to actually do this, You're not just giving them food, you're teaching them how to feed themselves, like you said. And that's so amazing. I think right now young people are are hurting in a way we haven't seen in a while. You know, I had a girl come up to me the other day in a school that said she didn't feel worthy of some of the things she had been given in her life because people had just kind of shot her down and said some mean things about her. I don't know the details, but it sounded like she had some blessings in her life, but was not feeling worthy of them. And we got to talk about the fact that, okay, we don't deserve any of this, right? We don't deserve the blessings in our life. It's only by God's mercy and grace. But at the cross, and we are on this side of Jesus dying for our sins and raising again, he's taken care of the ripple in the relationship between man and God, right? In the Garden of Eden, we think way back, we were put here. Each of you guys were put here. Phyllis, you were put here to royally represent God to the world and to actually rule in his stead, in a sense, to show the creation. And then as the world grew, to show other nations outside of Israel, right, what God is like. And that's the call for every believer today. You know, the image of God is in every child, but sometimes it's a little bit covered up. Well, Jesus has taken care of that problem. We're on this side of history where Jesus has come. He's lived the perfect life. He's died the death we deserved, and he's risen, proving victory over death. And now we can be in right relationship with the Father again. We can actually rule in God's stead. We can actually show the world what the living God is like, and what better mission would there be for a young person to latch onto, right? There's cultures always trying to tell us, put your identity in this, put your identity in that. But when your identity is rooted in the family of God, as a son of God, as a daughter of God, adopted into that holy family, what an amazing truth to latch onto. And I bet the kids you're serving are getting a glimpse of that and feeling a new sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Preach it,
Yes.
brother.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Scott. That is so important. And our kids today, they really need it. I think that this is a really hard time for them. And then obviously these kids, they have a feeder school that we call, and these younger kids, we're finding these younger kids, which are going to be coming into high school, hopefully. We find that if we can reach the younger kids before they get to high school, it really helps pave the way for them to come into and work with Urban Youth Excel. And so we do have a little program, and I'm going to let Anthony or DeWeek quickly give us a little upbeat on that.
Anthony, you want to quickly share on MVP?
Yeah,
or the junior high.
And in terms of the junior high kids, it's yes, we get to pour into them, and it's a little bit of a different movement when it comes with them, and then but it also, the beautiful thing about it is while we're dealing with them again, we're getting to deal with the family, because once the family and the parents buy in, that is how you're going to go ahead and actually reach the junior hires, because now the parents are bringing them, because they can't drive. So the parents are bringing them. They're seeing what's going on. Now the kids are seeing their parents being happy for something that they're doing. So now they're motivated to want to be happy for their parents. And so then now you've again reach the whole family. Now you have kids where they're like, when they see it, they're like, hey, when are we going to get to go and get a Bible? Or when do we get to go to church? Or when do we get this? They're coming and seeking out. They have a fresh outlook on everything. And so anything that comes to them is like they absorb it like lotion on the skin. They want to make sure that they get it all in, and then they're nice and they're just happy to be able to speak on God. And then they get to speak on God to their parents, because their parents heard what they've been told. So then it just grows the family. So when they do go to high school, it's like natural for them already.
And they feel secure. And they come into a high school, it's already hard for young kids, you know, but they have you. So you are there for them. DeWeet and Anthony are always there for these kids. So it just makes it, I think, an easier transition for these kids as they're coming and going from school to school into high school. So anyway, I want to thank you all for coming. I think you guys have been amazing. You are doing an amazing job, and we love you. I'm Phyllis Barbie. I am on the board for Urban Youth Excel, And we hope to see you all at our event on
Looking forward
Saturday,
to
May
it.
4th.
May
looking
4th.
forward to it.
Looking to have fun.
Have a good one.
Yep.
Thank you,
Okay,
guys.
at 11:30. Thank you all so much and have a blessed day. Okay, bye-bye. Okay.
Very nice wrap up.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Great job. I love that.